Hey, good morning, Eastern Oregon, and welcome to this September 23rd version of AM Live on EOA. Your connection to Eastern Oregon, we're glad that you are here with us. If you want to find our content, you can go to EOA.network. That takes you to a link tree where you can find the location of our YouTube page, Facebook, Roku, website, and also the podcast where these episodes end up after we are through. Here in just a little bit, we are going to have Union County Commissioner Jake Seavert with us. How are you, man?
Good morning. Second Monday. Did you see where they're getting ready to exhume a lady that's been dead for like 90 years?
No.
Oregon's oldest cold case. And they're exhuming her body to run like some newer like DNA tests. Like That's crazy. I don't know if I was the family, if I would want them to like dig up, you know what I mean? Like it's 100 years old. Like,
and it's for a cold case?
Yeah, the oldest cold case in Oregon.
Huh.
So my question would be like, are they doing that for like themselves? Like, is the government doing that for, you know, like a round of applause, or are they doing that to help the family? Because somebody that's been dead for 100 years doesn't have a lot of connection to the people that are alive in her family today.
I don't know. You know, one thing that was interesting came out of that conversation that we had with Jason Hayes about cold cases and so on and so forth, is you don't think about that the witnesses pass away. They die, you know, and so then if they're dead, you can't go back and re-interview them. You just got to go on the information that you know.
So it was 1946, 80 years ago, sorry.
Okay.
And it's the Oak Grove Jane Doe. And they actually have the body exhumed, and they're being tested in hopes of finally identifying her. So I guess they're trying to figure out who the body is, too. But it's a cold case that they haven't been able to. But, I mean, 80 years ago? Like, why are we doing, like, did somebody ask for this, or are we just doing it to...
Well, who would ask for if it's a Jane Doe? It's not like the family can.
So why? Would be my question.
I
mean, that can't be cheap to exhume a body.
Yeah. So on Sunday? Did you run across the Charlie Kirk Memorial Service? Did you see that? Yeah.
No.
It was. Man, I wondered what. I wonder how it affected football. Because
it didn't affect my football at all. I was watching.
Well, but you watch it. You watch football on YouTube. So on broadcast TV, it was like, it was monumental. I tell you, it was long.
I didn't see it.
Yeah.
I was. What was Sunday? Sunday was recovery day for me. I had a long day Saturday. Football game out in what Gib Pollard said was the highest UV rays of the year day.
Yeah.
Got burned up, and then I had a volleyball game that night. We'll talk about that later. But I had a long day Saturday, so Sunday I was just kind of.
Yeah. Our weekends were. Yeah. So, well, hey, you want to do sports?
Let's do it.
All right.
AM Sports Report brought to you by Hobby Habit. Do you like Magic the Gathering? Do you like Spider-Man? Now you can have them both together. Collect your favorite superheroes and supervillains from 60 years of comic book action and bring your favorite parts of Spider-Man to your Magic the Gathering deck to play your ultimate Spider-Man team-up. Available now for 11 First Street in La Grande. Hobby Habit, just for the fun of it. Number one, EOU volleyball had a huge weekend at home, sweeping Bushnell on Friday night and then turning around on Saturday and beating number 3 Corbin 3-1 in front of the biggest crowd. And I talked to Khaki about this on Saturday night after the game. It's the biggest crowd she thinks she's ever seen in Quinn as well. So we were talking, and maybe pre-COVID there were some crowds that were close to the size of this crowd, but I think this is the biggest crowd I've ever seen in Quinn. Kiera Vaughn had a huge game for the Mounties. Kiana Mack was stellar on defense as usual. All year she's been just solid. She's the best player in the country. There's no doubt in my mind. For her efforts, she was named the CCC Defender of the Week, Player of the Week. This is the second time she's been the defender of the week, and she's also been the offensive player of the week one time. So, like I said, best player in the country. She's just really come into her own, and she's dominating. The Mounties have a tough 10 days ahead of them as they go on the road. They got number 17 LCSC on Friday, receiving votes Walla Walla on Saturday, and then they turn around and have College of Idaho on Wednesday, and College of Idaho is ranked number 12. That's a tough 10-day stretch for the Mounties. EOU football lost the tough one at home 3-0. The Mounties just couldn't get anything going. They had a chance to score. They had the ball on like the 2-yard line, and they Pete Carrolled it. Like, I don't understand this. It's 1st and goal from the 2, and you throw the ball. We have Waylon Rydell. He's literally a bowling ball on feet, and we didn't hand it to him, and instead we call a jump pass, and the quarterback jumped in through, and unfortunately the defender caught it, and that was our best chance to score. I mean, we kicked a field goal, a 42-yarder in the second half to try to tie it, and it was he pulled it a little bit, but just offensively, like a bad play calling there at the end. During that red zone stretch, and we just couldn't put any points on the board. The Mounties go to Havre on Saturday. I always say that name wrong. Havre on Saturday to take on MSU Northern in their final preseason game of the year. EOU men's soccer is 2-0 in the CCC and still undefeated at 5-0-2 after beating Warner Pack 2-1 and Walla Walla 3-1 on the road over the weekend. They host Bushnell and Corbin this weekend at 6:30 on Friday, and then they turn around and do it at 6:30 on Saturday. Women's soccer opened CCC play with 2 wins over Warner Pack and Walla Walla as well. The ladies are 2-0 in the CCC and 5-2-1 overall. They have Corbin and Bushnell this weekend as well, right before the men's game at 4 o'clock on each of the days. Last Friday night, LHS football lost a tough one to Burns, 38-6. Senior quarterback Matthias Fields went down and will be out for the season with a broken collarbone. His brother actually brought his phone up to the window and showed me during the beginning of the second half the X-ray. It was a tough game for the Tigers. We couldn't get anything going offensively. The only touchdown that we scored was a garbage touchdown at the end of the game, and the Burns defense was tough. The quarterback for Burns is the real deal. I mean, the very first play of the game, he rolled out to his left. He's left-handed, and he threw like a 30-yard dart to the sideline right on the money, and I was like, uh-oh, we're in trouble. Around the GOL, Baker lost to Vale 50-7. Pendleton lost to Weiser 62-14, and Ontario lost to Ashland 41-13. The GOL is struggling this year. LeGrand and Baker both have byes this week. Pendleton will host Estacada at 7 p.m. on Friday, live right here on the EOA network. There's still opportunities for advertising, so if you're interested, message us or email us at office@eoalive.tv. Around the Valley, Embler beat Echo 38-0. Union lost to DeSalles 58-20. Elgin lost to Duffer 34-28. Cove lost to Lyle 46-6, and Powder Valley beat Riverside 42-14. The LHS boys soccer team lost to Umatilla 5-0 on Friday night. They host Ontario today at 5 up at Community Stadium. So get out there and support these guys. LHS girls soccer tied with Fruitland 2-2 over the weekend. They go to Ontario today for a 5:30 p.m. Mountain Time kickoff. That game was supposed to be on Thursday. They moved it to today. I don't know why. They don't give you an explanation. I sat down with one of the soccer players yesterday for an interview, and she let me know that the game is today instead of Thursday. I have interviews with all the senior girls coming out over the next few weeks on this LHS soccer team, so keep your eyes open for that. AM Sports Report brought to you by Hobby Habit, just for the fun of it.
Good. Thanks, man.
Whew, long-winded today.
Yeah.
Talking.
All right. Well, hey, let's take a look outside. It's pretty, man. It's felt like fall this morning.
It looks like it still doesn't look fall-y to me out there. Feels
And-
like it though. It definitely felt like it today.
Yeah, it's just got that coming on feeling. Yeah, and let's look at the weather graphic. Yeah, so warm days and cool nights. And it looks like it's almost exactly the same. Friday, it's a little warmer during the day. No rain in sight.
A little colder on
Yeah.
Friday.
Right, I'm sorry. Yep.
Yeah.
Anyhow, yep, that's kind of what we got.
Still gonna stay up like low 80s. Like, I hope it stays like that forever.
Yep. Yeah, all right. Well, cool. Glad that you guys are here with us. We will be back in a minute with Union County Commissioner Jake Seavert.
Eastern Oregon is full of interesting people, with interesting minds and interesting things to say. Here at EO Live, we're committed to connecting you to these intriguing people with EO Talks. We let our special guests share their ideas and life experiences with deep, open, engaging, and inquisitive conversations. You'll also be informed in depth on some of the most recent and relevant events, issues, and more. EO Talks on EO Live, your connection to Eastern Oregon, now on Roku. Need something to watch while you sip your early morning coffee before work? Tune in to Eastern Oregon's only live morning video talk show, AM Live, right here on the EOA network. BC and Dodsey host while shooting the breeze about local happenings, sports, weather, or whatever else comes to mind, featuring special guests from Eastern Oregon and beyond. AM Live, 8 a.m. every Tuesday and Thursday morning, right here on the EOA network.
All right, we're back. Union County Commissioner Jake Seavert. How many months into it now?
I don't know, it's almost October, so almost 9 months now.
Wow.
Yeah.
So are you through with commissioner school?
Yep, that wrapped up the end of June.
Yeah.
Man, it was worth it though. The contacts you meet and from all over the state, same as you know, they're jumping right into it.
Yeah.
But you get to meet a lot of good people and have a lot of good programming, and I think it fast-tracked that learning curve. Honestly, without it, I think you'd be, your whole first term would probably be all into just learning what you're supposed to do and what the county does.
Right.
And this put it into a 6-month program, and so it really sped it up.
Right. Well, and you can't even, I'm sure without it, there are sometimes you don't even know what departments there even exists or areas or, yeah.
Or just which ones you are mandated by the state to actually have,
Right,
public health, mental health, and,
Yeah.
And actually what services the sheriff's department provides and public works. And so, I mean, there's a lot to it that a lot of counties have a lot of extracurricular things that they do, but they're not mandated to.
Right.
And so we get to learn the differences between that.
Well, and one of the things that I got the budget from last year. I didn't follow it this year. But, at the end of that, there's a whole bunch of funds because they're essentially savings accounts that are managed because our county receives money from all these different streams, and they've got to be spent in a specific way, whatever the case might be. And just keeping track of all of those I mean, and man, I mean, Shelley Burgess is the one that does that, but just the amount of those is dizzying. I mean,
Yeah, you get a pool of money and it's supposed to be spent in a specific way. You just can't put it in with your general
Right,
fund.
right,
I mean,
yeah.
it's got to be earmarked and spent exactly as it is. And
Right.
then on top of that, with funding that comes in that you're anticipating but haven't received yet, you've got to put that into your budget as anticipated funds coming
Yeah.
in, and whether that actually comes in or not. But I mean, just the whole budget process, it's very confusing. You know,
I'm sure it is.
I mean, this ain't like balancing our checkbooks at home. This
No.
is going through, and we're fortunate though, in the way our county is structured, honestly, because there's a lot of counties out there without an administrator. So you have, and so that means the commissioners are then into the daily doings or happenings of every department head. So they'll break it up. Okay, you're part of road department. Well, then you're that direct contact for hiring, firing. What are you doing today? What are you doing this week? How, you
Yeah.
know, and overseeing their budget on a more frequent basis. With an administrator, we're able to sit here and kind of let her do all that back work while we can work on other more promising things. Like, you know, we're just not stuck in the day-to-day grind of things. We can actually look out 3 months, what plans or things are coming down the pipeline that we can work on. And then and Shelley gets with every department head. The department heads do their budgets. They present it to Shelley. Shelley oversees the budgets, make sure the numbers can fit and the columns add up and balance out at the end, and then present it to us commissioners along with our budget committee, and we sit and go through that, and it just kind of streamlines the process. But I could not imagine being a commissioner in a county without an administrator to at least look at that part of it.
Yeah. Now, when you guys hire a new head of a department, does Shelley do that, or do you guys do that? Where's that? And I'm contrasting it to the city council here, because here the department heads really work directly for the city manager, and I don't think, is it that same structure?
Yeah.
Okay.
So you have the voters, then you have the county commissioners, then you have the administrator, and then below that you have the department heads.
Okay.
Sheriff is off over here on a tangent all by himself. Like,
And-
everybody thinks that we're in charge of the sheriff, or vice versa. We're not. We're like two totally
Well,
different
and-
elected positions.
And Kelsey.
And Kelsey.
Yes. Yeah. Okay.
But so yeah, she does all of the posting and advertising, and then she, depending on which area that is and which commissioner is assigned that liaison role, they'll bring that commissioner in to sit on the interview panel as well. So yeah, she does handle a lot of it, but the commissioners also, because at any time things could be jumbled around,
Yeah.
and the commissioners get involved.
Now, have you found that there are areas that, because every commissioner has their liaison, it's their area of responsibility. Have you found that, as you've been into this, that there are areas that you're not responsible for, but you want to have input into? I mean, have you found anything like that?
No, not really. I tend to stay pretty busy with the liaison group that I'm in. And I know, and the way it's structured right now, everybody's kind of fitted into what really their strengths are. Fortunately, because rural counties are reliant on ag and natural resources, we do have a couple commissioners in here that are, you know, that's part of their strengths. But there's a lot going on as far as liaison. Like, if you were to look at our list, one guy could not just handle all ag
Right.
and natural resources and water issues.
Right.
And then, so we share a lot of those duties. We split up a lot of the economic development type duties, because I think that should be a goal for everyone to be involved and get input on that side one way or the other. And then Scarfo does a lot of the public health, mental health, sheriff's department, and stuff like that. So, but all them duties can change. They're not tied into that position as commissioner. They're not, you know, we could fully swap them if we wanted to right now.
Right, but I guess I'm thinking like when I was running and when you were running, there are certain interests, things that you have interest in, okay, or you 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 you're listening to the public and you're wanting to respond. There might be something that is not in your liaison that is important for you to see happen. How does that happen?
So, I mean, at any time, any one of us can take a phone call or get an email from a concerned constituent about any
Right.
department.
Right.
Right. And I have received a bunch of those.
Right.
So we are involved. Just because we are the liaison for that department or that town or whatever, all that means is that we show up to the meetings. We're the first contact. We know more about that department than the other two commissioners. And we do that on purpose so that not all three commissioners
Sure.
all have to learn that. But we are kind of that, again, liaison so that we can relay that message to the other commissioners and keep them informed as to what's going on. It's just so if something ever does come up to us in front of a board meeting, we at least have
Right.
a little bit of a background on there.
Right.
And so, yeah, I mean, if something like, I mean, goodness gravy, probably the most common complaint that we get is roads, you know.
Yeah.
And so all three of us at some point have gotten a road complaint and we handle it, you know. And if I get a complaint, I'll reach out to Doug. It doesn't mean that I have to go through that
Okay. Yeah. Okay.
commissioner. I will inform the commissioner of what is going on, obviously, but then I'll reach out to Doug and say, hey, this is part of the issue. What can we do? Just, it helps for me to kind of keep in the know as well, so that if I get another question under the same topic, that I can make sure I'm telling factual information and answering it right.
Well, and the public doesn't want to run around. They don't. I mean, if they're reaching out to you, maybe they voted for you, and so then they deserve that you essentially represent them, whether it turns out the way that it is supposed to be for them or not. But still, I mean, that's good. Yeah, cool. I think that, yeah. Well, what else is new in your world that has kind of surprised you, or maybe nothing has?
I mean, it's good to always go into the office every day and not be into a routine and see what emails or phone calls you're responding to that day. But for the most part, it's pretty, I mean, we are in a good county. Yeah, every county has their issues and problems, but man, we're in a really good county right now. We may not be booming and economically, but I think we're holding our own for what we're faced with. It's been good. We just got back from Washington, D.C. We spent just a couple days back there, and because I kind of wanted to bring this up.
Yeah.
Because I don't want people to think that we're not utilizing our time and resources to go effectively advocate for Union County. Union County has 47% public land, federally managed land. What that basically does is that takes that out of our county tax rolls, right? So not every state has an abundance of public land. Take Texas, for instance. I don't know if they have much federally managed lands besides some state parks or federal parks or whatever, but they don't see that. So basically every square inch of Texas is on the county's tax roll in that county.
Meaning those owners
Are paying.
Pay
Are
tax.
paying taxes.
Okay, yeah.
So we flew back to D.C. to go advocate for PILT and SRS payments. PILT is your payment in lieu of taxes. That's where we go to the federal government and we say, listen, we need money for all this land. 47% of Union County is out of our tax roll. We need something for it to help maintain access services in our county for people that recreate not just from our county, but from all over the state, all over the U.S., and all over the world. Because, I mean, everybody knows the Eagle Caps are just an amazing set of wilderness. So when we go back to D.C., we sit with mostly staffers of these legislators from like Wisconsin and Arkansas, those states that don't have little to no PILT or federal lands, and we say this is why we need these dollars. This is essential for our small rural counties, and this was through NACO, so National Association of Counties. They put this on. It's called the PILT Fly-In, and so we're there with a lot of western states: Utah, Montana, Wyoming, California, and we get together with a lot of these commissioners. I want to say there was just shy of 40 commissioners from like 7 states, I believe, and we're back there, and they set a record of 80 meetings with staffers in 2 days with just that many commissioners. So we were on the move at 10 o'clock and didn't get done moving until 4 o'clock, and had a meeting every half hour, and we were broke up into little groups, obviously. But just going around advocating to western United States and rural counties as to why these dollars are important to us.
I have a question about that. How much does that really do? You know what I mean? Like, how much influence does that really have? Like, on the broad picture, not, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
When I look at it, I'm like, okay, a couple county commissioners are going to go to Washington, D.C. and talk to a staffer. Like, well, how much does that actually affect us in the county?
I think it affects us more than people realize. I
Yeah.
picked up a saying when I was back there that I'd heard, that if you're not at the table, you're on the menu. Basically saying if you're not constantly talking about it, even if it's to some strange legislator from Wisconsin, if you're not talking about it, they're not hearing about it.
How
so
would
it is
they?
not on their radar.
Right.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So it's important for us to at least go back there and talk about it. Yeah. Say this is a no-brainer. This has already been happening for years and years. We just need you to reissue the authorization to issue those payments again.
Well, and has that been held up? Has that changed recently or something?
The PILT hasn't, but again, every 2 years you got to walk in there. The SRS dollars is the payment that was in place of the loss of timber receipts, and that was started, I believe, with Wyden in the early 2000s, late 90s. To help subsidize rural counties again because of the loss of timber receipts from regulations and market decline. So those dollars have been held up. We only got about 25% of normal allocation this year, and so that really hit our road department. It was about a $350,000 cut to our road department this last year. Fortunately, knock on wood, we had a very mild winter, so they didn't have to spend a lot of time through the winter, diesel, maintenance, equipment, plowing snow. Mm-hmm. But we'll see how we end up this year. That usually fits into that farm bill, and that it's every time it is either negotiated in or negotiated out whenever they extend it. And so far right now it has not been extended as part of that farm bill. So it does affect some dollars coming back to the county. So again, we were back there advocating, just even if not part of the farm bill, then let's bring it in as an independent on its own, because it's crucial.
So tell me if this is right. The Union County 47% is public land. So that means half of the land is not. Nobody's paying taxes on, no. And PILT is what we're trying to get from the government to make up for that. And is that how that works?
Exactly,
okay.
But it's not 100% of what those taxes are.
Right.
I think it's only about 10 or 15% of what is actually
what it would
have been.
Okay.
So it's better than nothing, right?
Right.
And again, it helps us. That goes into our general fund to help with law enforcement, to help with road department, creates access and services, make sure we're fit to handle people coming in visiting our public lands.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, and I think that people generally don't understand, because they have no knowledge of that, is that, the city, any city in the county, they're all similar in the sense that you're trying to offer services to your constituents. Those all have a price tag, equipment, staffing. I mean, always the labor is always the most expensive component of anything like that. Well, and so then you're looking for funds to help fill that gap in any way that you can. And some of those funds have been the same for the last 20 years. And and then at the federal level, when, and Trump has been very outspoken about cutting expenses and so on and so forth, which is not a bad thing, but the other end of that is that there might be a piece of funding stream that has been funneled here for the last 20 years, and all of a sudden that funding stream is threatened, or it's gone, or something's changed. And as a county, you still have to balance the budget. You've got to figure out, okay, if we don't have that funding, what are we going to replace it with, or are we going to have to cut programming in some manner?
And it's just like that. Like, if we wouldn't have had a mild winter last year, we may have had to have laid or got rid of a couple off of our road department last year, because I mean, $350,000, that's a huge hit to a department that staffs 17 total. And still try and provide the same level of service.
Right.
And we're kind of dealing with that now in the DA's office, because of some of these cuts with federal grants. A for sure grant that we've had for 20, 30 years. This just wasn't no recent grant that was made and say, oh, we're cutting it now. We actually use that money to fund a victim's advocate person, our one and only, I believe, in the DA's department. And that grant is being threatened right now. I think Shelley's looking along with DA McDaniels about how they can move some things around within that department, still provide the same level of service elsewhere, but still maintain that victim's advocate, because it's a crucial role to that department. So we run into those. And the other part is, I think when you look at inflation cost over the last 3 to 4 years, we cannot keep up with our property taxes. We are limited to how much we can raise our property taxes on a yearly basis. And I think it's like 3%. So that restricts us. When you got inflation growing at 8-10% a year, we can only bring in so much, and then pretty soon every community, every county is hit by that. It just grew too fast. We've still got the same pool of money, but that $15 an hour job is now $20 an hour. That I don't even know what concrete costs, but that $3 a yard concrete now costs $9 a yard. So just to fix roads and to keep roads, I even look at the city, and I would hate to be a part of this city because the county has it bad, but I mean, you can't go to the public and be like, we're just going to raise your taxes 15% this year to offset the inflationary costs so that we can keep you happy and have good roads.
Right.
Yeah.
You just can't do that. And I wouldn't want to do that, because then when inflation backs off, technically those wages don't back off, or costs don't back off faster than they went up. But yeah, we're kind of bound by that, and so that's where it's important to have some grant funding. And I mean, if you look at the state level and the county level, there's funding coming in from grants, from the federal side, the state side. I mean, it's a lot to keep track of, going back to the budget process.
Well, and at the end of the day, at the local level, it's not a political problem. It's a math problem. I mean, you're just balancing expenses versus getting them paid for. I mean, and why that's going away or why that funding is coming in, it's just a matter of, hey, we're just trying to patch the hole. We're just trying to, to fill the gap. So.
Well, and we, like I say, we're in a great county where all of our department heads have got a contingency fund.
Yeah.
And we've had to bump into that already this year with our IT department. We were getting this program that helped with phishing and scamming mails, and it was a spyware or something like that. I believe the state of Oregon paid for it for the last 3 years, and so we assumed in our budgeting process that they were going to continue paying for this. But they dropped it this year without giving us hardly any notice. So Jason, our IT guy, come and it was a no-brainer though. It was $11,000, $14,000. But we had that in the contingency fund. Like they've done such a good job at building up a contingency fund that if things like this pop up, that we can just say, yep, no problem. If this is truly what we need, and you know feel that the money should be spent that way, we have no problem. We don't have to go ask or look for money to cover that cost.
It's a good. I mean, that's a good place to be.
It's great
to have a contingency fund. There's no doubt about that.
Every household should have one, including mine. I don't know.
Let me switch topics and ask you a question about, help us understand farming and ranching, because I know that certainly both of those are within your knowledge base. Help me understand the subsidies from the government. I mean, and that genuinely I have no idea. So sometimes, depending on the crop, at least in the past, farmers have been paid to not grow a crop. Or I don't know. Just help me understand that whole. I don't have knowledge of this. Help me understand that.
So anymore, the subsidies don't come down to actually paying you for a bushel of wheat. What the government would rather do is run that through a program. And so the most common subsidy we see is the CRP program. Yeah. It's been around for years and years, and you can sign up on contracts, and they pay you per acre not to grow anything. They want you to put native vegetation on there and just let it sit. So that is your most common. And then we get into some other ones, some conservation.
Yeah, like where they build the fences around creeks. There's all kinds of stuff.
But what is the purpose of them doing that? Paying you to not grow. Why do they do that? Why would they prefer you not grow anything rather than grow something and sell it? That's where I'm not understanding.
Because we're American and we're good at what we do. I mean, in all honesty, with the technology and inputs that we do, we grow an amazing amount of food in this nation. And so when it's simple supply and demand, when there's so much wheat out there and you're only selling or moving so much, that market is lowered.
But that farmer still needs income in order to...
Still needs income. So instead of paying you to grow, or instead of you trying to make money on $5 wheat as we are right now, when it costs you $7 a bushel to grow it, a lot of these guys will look into options on their lower quality marginal ground to take that out of production, put it into a CRP contract. You're not having to fire up a piece of equipment on it every year. It's less inputs. It just sits there. Yeah.
Which is like the CRP contracts too. Like I was saying, like the state or the federal government will come in and pay you to like save fish. Like seriously, like to put like the fences on your property. You know what I mean? And I think that's a CRP contract as well, isn't it?
There's a lot of grant funding opportunities there. There's some conservation easement programs. We've toured a couple here in the last 3 months with Grand Ronde Model Watershed and the Upper Grand Ronde River Watershed Place-Based Planning Group. I'm the convener for that one, but. Over in Reeth, where they had the flooding back in, 2019 or 2020, and it just wiped out a bunch of farm ground below Pendleton and Reeth on that Mackay Creek and Umatilla. The landowner there just decided, instead of fighting flooding every year, let's just work with a couple agencies and see if we can't get funding to not only restore it into conservation ground for fish, but also to try and incorporate some, so when it does get high water, we're not just spilling out all over. So they built different channels. So when that high water hits, that maybe gives it an option to go into another channel, spreads out the moisture along that basin, and then they say it can help with water storage. That goes into the ground, saturates everything, and then as that later in the season, it kind of returns back into the stream. But so there's a lot of programs there, and the biggest funding ones for those are like BPA, where they are required to spend $100 million a year in order to keep the dams on the Columbia, just for fish. So there's a lot of funding opportunities there. And then we've as part of that tour and as a part of this group, we've sent out a recent survey to landowners in the Grand Ronde and Catherine Creek that neighbor those two fisheries, as to seeing if they were interested at all with being a part of a conservation easement program. And that could mean a setback to where maybe you dike it up, and so we don't have water flooding 10,000 acres in the Grand Ronde Valley. We can try and control that with some natural flood mitigation. So there's a lot of programs to be subsidized, really.
But the point of all of that is that if there's some regulation or there's some impact on a farmer, that there's some way of him continuing, or they continuing to have income to keep owning the land, right?
To make the ends meet.
Yeah, it's really tough now. You don't see as much in CRP and CREP as you did once. I mean, the new biggest thing now is and has been the wind towers, and then the new big one now is solar panels, solar energy. That Yuma, well, it's mostly Morrow, and Morrow County is getting really big into the solar sites right now, and I don't know, I struggle with it. I really, really do. I even though it's marginal farm ground, once you cover that up, it can change the dynamic of that soil profile with bacteria and organisms, and how what species of plants that were native are now going to be covered up, and what are we going to be fighting, weeds, or I don't know. You take out a lot of that ground out of productivity, and I think there could be other uses there that could be beneficial. I just going to say it, I'm not a huge solar panel guy. Why should we come out to open parts of Oregon and take up open land rather than going into metropolitan areas and putting them on the ceilings where no one's got to look at them?
I agree. I don't think a lot of people realize, like, especially in like rural areas like this, farmers are hustlers, man. They're not just a farmer. Like, you don't ask a farmer, hey, like, what do you farm? Wheat? No. Farmers in this area farm whatever they can possibly, and then they find ways to make ends meet.
And that's what's great about this valley is, for one, we're enclosed. We're a good seed base operation for a lot of crops. That way we don't get any cross contamination. We're kind of a closed facility, right? But our climate, too, allows us to do so much.
It's very diverse.
Yeah, you're right. What do you grow? Wheat? No, we're not Umatilla County. We grow hay, mint, potatoes, onions, garlic, beets, sugar beets. We grow corn now. I mean, you name it. Camelina. I'm like, what the heck is camelina? Do they use that as a cooking oil?
Yeah.
Well, it is an oil crop, and they can actually make diesel
with it.
Yeah. And I forget, it's like 40 gallons or 35 gallons per 1,000 pounds of camelina.
That's quite
you can grow 1,000 to 1,300 pounds per acre, so you can get about 30 to 40 gallons of diesel off 1 acre of camelina.
That's pretty good.
I mean, I don't know if you'd make a dent in the demands.
I miss mint in this valley.
Yeah,
I do. I remember that was a very fond memory of like our childhood. Like,
well, and I learned that not too long ago that mint has a fungus. What is it?
It's Bacillium blight or something like that. I probably
that after a
hammered
period
that
of
one.
time, it comes in. There is no cure for it, and so then
it's in the ground.
And then
get rid of it
so
too,
mint has a cycle. So in other words, it can be grown for number of years in a particular area, and then it's
verticillium wilt.
Verticillium wilt.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
And that is one of those, though, if you're aware of it, you can prolong that.
okay.
But I come out of Central Oregon, the Grand Ronde Valley was the next big hit. Boom, it moved into here. Nobody was too concerned with it, and then now we're just kind of getting down to the last chunks of ground in the valley to be able to grow mint on. Which, like I said, when we were growing up in high school, you could drive around this valley,
out the valley and you
late August, and just take it all in. I loved it.
Such a great smell, man.
But now there's only very few stills in operation, and
So talk to me about cattle. That same conversation about cows, and we don't have as much cattle here as they do in Baker Valley area. Is that right?
Correct.
Yeah.
Baker County is
Yeah.
pretty big county. Grant County, Malheur County, Wallowa County's got more cattle than Union County.
Yeah.
But we have good numbers.
Yeah.
No subsidies there.
Yeah.
We're just reaping the benefits of that cyclical market trend that we see in the beef market every 7 to 10 years, and a lot of the country has been in the South has been hit with drought over the last several years, so they've really held back and sold off a lot of cattle to because they had no pasture for them, and that hits parts of the country, and it happens, and so our inventory numbers are at a 50-60 year low right now as far as number of cattle in the U.S.
Mm-hmm.
But again, we're Americans. We do great at what we do. We put on more pounds of beef in a shorter time frame and more pounds per animal than we did 50, 60 years ago. So our production levels have as far as produced pounds of beef, have stayed level, but the number of beef are down. And then they've got this New World screwworm fly coming up out of South America. It was in the South U.S. there for a while. It's a fly that eats live flesh. It's not like flies eating dead flesh. So these flies will land on cattle
And
start chomping on them.
That's scary.
And it is. So to combat this back in the day in those southern states, Texas, Arizona, New Mexico, they have to breed and raise a sterile male fly. And they turn them loose. Literally, they fly a plane over, drop these flies loose, and so that just stops that life cycle with these sterile male flies. Well, we've been dealing with that New World screwworm since last fall. Last December, they shut the Mexican border down to bring in cattle in for, it was like 5 or 6 weeks. Basically, the U.S. was saying, get this under control. We don't want them in the U.S. And at that time, they were 500-600 miles in
like
the southern part of
Texas
Mexico.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, they hadn't crossed over yet. Well, we opened it back up. That population of fly come up further. We shut it back down again because the Mexican government wasn't holding up to their side of the agreement as far as trying to restrict the growth of this fly's territory. And so it's been basically shut down since last December, off and on. I just seen, I believe it was yesterday, that they've had a screwworm infestation 70 miles from the border. And I think about that, that's quite a distance. But that's only from here to, what, Hermiston maybe?
Yeah, Nuevo Leon.
Yeah.
In Mexico, 70 miles from the
It's not
US
that
Mexico
far.
border. No, that's not. No.
So, and it's not super detrimental, like, it'll hit them southern states even harder on top of drought and fire and everything else, but it's just one added thing that's going to cause disruption in that cattle production cycle, and so we're seeing an increase in pricing there. We've also, Australia, we've opened up trade with them again. They haven't taken American beef imports for over 20 years, and so we've got that door open again. If a guy's really diversified right now, has cattle, wheat, potatoes, sugar beets, whatever, he's going to do quite well. It's those producers in the valley that we're concerned with that are, because there's nothing really in the crop commodity market right now that's just making them money.
No, yeah.
So we'll see what happens moving forward in the next year or two. I am a proponent of some tariffs. I think in the short term, we'll go through some growing pains as some of that inventory's moved out. But in the long term, it should be a level playing field, you know. And we should get paid for the quality of food that we raise here in the U.S.
No,
Yeah.
for sure.
So, talk to me about wolves. What's going on in the wolf world?
One of the opportunities we had in Washington, D.C. was to sit down with Cliff Bentz's office. He must have heard that the Eastern Oregon county's commissioners were on their way to discuss wolves, because our travel day, Monday the 8th, he released a bill number with the concerning of delisting of the gray wolf, U.S. Nationwide, and all that text of that bill is saying is he's wanting to the Secretary of the Department of Interior to make his final ruling. Once we can get that done, then it allows us at the state level to put in better management plans. Because as of right now, as everybody knows, anything east of 395, they're off the endangered species list. That's why we have and can legally, lethally take wolves, either caught in the act, or if they've depredated on our livestock too much, we can and have Fish and Wildlife Services come in, and we can get permits to take 2 wolves out and let them handle that. Anything west of 395 is
They're
in that
completely
endangered,
protected.
completely protected. Caught in the act, you can't do nothing.
Right.
Take a video of it, I guess. That's the issue we have is animals
crazy
don't
to me.
know Highway 395.
No.
And 10 years ago, sure, that may have been a good line to start with, but as that population and saturation intensified here in Northeast Oregon, them wolves have gone into Morrow County. There's a lot more wolves in Jackson County, and you get down in Klamath County, and northern California's got wolves now. I mean, we need
Anywhere
to.
where there's food, they're gonna go.
We need to, and it's only because the producers around here, we know they're here to stay, and that is fine. But we just want more management responsibility at the state level side. I lived in Montana and Idaho when they had wolf hunting.
Yeah.
They've hunted wolves in Montana now for 12 years, and their population is still growing. And they've hit their quota the first 2 years, and they have never hit their quota since because they smartened up. Every time they heard a pickup or a person,
Yeah, they run.
they run.
Yeah.
But they're still effective at trapping and hunting them. I guess my point is it's an effective management tool
Right.
to kind of keep those numbers in check.
Well, and I went to a wolf conference or a wolf listening session with Cliff Bentz. It's been a couple of years ago now, and the question was how many wolves is enough. I mean, every animal out there has a number. Deer has a number. From the ODFW, it's what is the healthy amount of animal for this particular area of ground. And all of those things have a number. Cougars have a number, but wolves did not have a number, which is a totally logical way of thinking about it. It's like, okay, well, how many is enough? What's the number that you're looking at?
And I think you look at it every species. You could
Yeah.
have too many elk.
Right,
that are
exactly.
Eating crops, house,
Yeah.
and home, and we kind of see some of that issue in the valley. I don't think it's that we got too many elk, but I think they're displaced. But yeah, you can have too many bears, too many cougars. How does that impact every species along that line in that ecosystem? On the wolf side, yeah, how many is too much? And I think we, like I said, are saturated between Union and Wallowa counties. And those in Baker, Union, and Wallowa County, I think there was 205 wolves counted up this year in the count. And Baker, Union, and Wallowa County probably host 75 to 80% of those, just in our little pocket statewide.
Right.
And so, when you look at Wallowa County having 70 wolves and Union County having 50, I mean, that's 120 wolves out of that 204 or 205 that are in these two counties. So we're going to see that impact on wildlife and livestock depredation.
When you have an oversaturation of alpha predator, it trickles down. So like the wolf, there's an oversaturation of them, so they're taking away from the cougar, which is taking away from, and then it just trickles down to animals doing dumb stuff that they don't normally do. You'll see like, probably a good example would be like very rarely will you see like a coyote or a fox come in and eat magpie or something crazy. Sometimes, but not that often. But like you're seeing some weird stuff. I've heard from numerous people in the valley like these predator, the trickle down to the predators is just crazy.
Yeah, there's a lot of competition with the predators.
Yeah.
With not being able to effectively manage the cougar population. You know, we're statewide, we're double what our management objective is for cougars. We're at 7,000 cougars statewide, and ODF&W says Oregon only needs about 3,000.
Wow.
And it's just because of loss of opportunities. And, you know, it's hard. They are hard to hunt.
Oh, they're so hard to hunt.
And I'll guarantee you that 90% of the cougars that are shot on a yearly basis are just because a hunter just stumbled
Happened
upon
across them.
one.
Right, yep.
They weren't
100%.
actually
100%.
looking for one.
Yeah.
Bears, I think, have been in check. You know, you can do a pretty good job hunting them without dogs and everything.
But cougars you can't.
But cougars you can't.
No.
But you see that competition between those predators. You know, I've even heard of people saying, you know, that them wolves will even go into a bear's den in the middle of winter and dig him out.
That's crazy. Yeah, that's crazy.
Cougars are kind of the same deal. They're prey. I mean, when you've got an apex predator,
Yeah. Which
coyotes,
a wolf
when
definitely
you start
is.
seeing less and less coyotes in an area, that's a good indication.
They're either eating them or running them out.
Yeah.
Running them off, one or the other.
Yeah.
I mean, probably a combination of the two things.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
So hopefully we'll see some legislation in this next winter of getting them delisted nationally, so that our states can take back a more effective approach at management of them. I think a hunting season is we're on the side of 395. We could hunt wolves right now if ODF&W put it together.
Yeah.
Why they won't is beyond me.
I just want to see like them find the neutral ground. You know what I mean? Where you don't have people that are, animal conservationists saying, "Oh my God," and you don't have people who are farmers, or ranchers saying, "Oh my God, I want it to be like," okay, like BC was saying, the number of wolves that should be here, and we'll figure out how we can get to that number and keep that number.
Right.
You
Right
know
now
what I
they're
mean?
not.
It's that simple.
Right
Yeah.
now there's no effort to even manage them at all.
No.
You've just got two spectrums, right? You got
Right,
the side that is totally wants none, and you got the other side that wants them frolicking through the high meadows with their
Until they
mane
snatch their dog.
flowing and puppies and they're rolling in the flowers, right? That's a great, but those two are not even connecting right now. We need to find that middle ground and that neutral ground.
Oh, man.
And like I say, I think a lot of the good big ranchers around here that I'm working with, I mean, we know that we're not ever going to get back to square zero. We just want to figure out that neutral ground.
Yeah.
I guess what I don't understand is if your job is like ODFW is to manage wildlife, how can you just not manage a species?
It's really tough, the structure of ODF&W. The governor appoints the director. The director then appoints the commission. So depending on the political affiliation of the governor will trickle down through the commission, and then that's your base.
That's terrible.
So at the local level, we may have advocates of wanting to manage mule deer better, of wanting to do this better, but the commission is the ultimate voice of what can or cannot be done
And they're
within
appointed.
the state, and they are appointed.
Yeah. And
And they do have some out of certain regions, like they're not just all out of one certain county and I-5. I mean, they are throughout the state, but they are appointed. And so I guess you get that ideology kind of trickle down effect. And
Right, but still, and I get that. Then that ideology can be, can serve an agenda or be persuaded, but still, your job is to manage. And so then if you have a species that's like, we are not going to manage them, then that I just
maybe
don't.
it's the fact that
I just
these
don't get
appointed
why is that
people,
even an option? Yeah.
They're accountable to the governor, and the governor has an agenda too.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Maybe that's it.
And I
Who
think
knows?
there's a lot of disconnect. That was one thing I seen. I think there's so much disconnect from the west side to the east side in this state. And we've known that, right?
Right.
But I even picked it up even further by this was my first trip ever back to DC. never took the Philly trip or anything in middle school. And I just sit there and look at these people, and it's a different world there. And I'm sitting there thinking, they are so disconnected to what is actually happening in this little corner of northeastern Oregon. They just have no clue the struggles and tribulations that our communities are trying to do with, providing a sustainable economy, with wolf issues, and so on top of all politics, that's what I've learned, is there's just so much disconnect.
We live in a world like that, though. Like, we're not connected to what's going on with them. You know what I mean? Like, it's the same.
No, but you're absolutely right. I was talking to somebody, a buddy who was back in the Midwest and lives in the Chicago area, and I commented, well, I was out of cell phone range. That was a total, like, what? That was a
What
total
does that
foreign.
mean?
Yeah, what does that even mean? How can you be? Yeah, how is that even possible? Yeah, so they don't understand the vastness. Well, Jake, thanks so much, man.
Time's up already?
It is,
Oh,
yeah. Great conversation. Yeah, appreciate you being here, and glad that you're on board and
Thank you.
you've survived. Here we go, right?
Yep, haven't dodged too many rocks yet, so.
Yeah. I tell you what, before we go though, we should tell us real quick. So what did, on the county, the thing we talked about beforehand on
The term limits?
The term limits, yeah. Kind of give us what you know about that.
The quick and dirty. So it was asked, the constitutionality, so we ran that through the courts.
Here in Union County?
Yes.
It's already been
Circuit
ran.
Court
Okay,
of Union
yeah.
County. Because there was this activity going on in Douglas County down there. They had term limits. It was challenged. The circuit courts there deemed it unconstitutional. It was then appealed to the state appellate court, and it was upheld. So it's unconstitutional. So when asked, our legal counsel said, just because one county got it overturned because it was unconstitutional doesn't apply to every county.
Right.
And so that's what they had to take a look at, and that's why it took a few months for them to look at it, is to deem that if it was unconstitutional, in which they found it was unconstitutional. I'm guessing it's more of a requirement, because when you file for this position, there's really no requirement other than you had to be over the age of 18 and you had to be a resident, right? So anybody can run for commissioner, but I think that's kind of the angle they are going to take on it. We have not seen the actual court's response to it yet. Until I get my hands on that, I'm only going to speculate that was kind of the issue, because that's what it sounded like in Douglas County. It was a requirement issue. You had to, or you could not run again.
Okay, so constitutional or not, didn't it get voted by the people of Union County?
It did.
Does anybody see a problem with that? Because I do.
And I totally see that. I really do. But it would be the same thing as Union County going, well, we're going to ban all handguns. Well, it's been found constitutionally that we have the right to bear arms.
I think that's a little bit.
Well,
different.
But any constitutional argument is based on that. It's that an individual county or city or state even can't pass a law that is contrary to the Constitution.
So what part of it is unconstitutional?
That's what we don't
That's
know.
what we don't know. Yeah. When I find that out, I'll send it. Yeah. If I get a piece of that, I'll send it on to you guys, because I really want to try and avoid, because I run in this position knowing I had term limits.
Yeah.
And knowing after 8 years, I'll still be way too young to retire. And knowing that I'd have to go find work after 8 years. So I was not affected or impacted at all. Commissioner Anders, has stated he's not going to run. Due to the opportunity, Commissioner Scarfo will run. But I will say this, being in my position, it could take some people up to 4 years to learn the ins and outs, even with the county college.
Yeah.
to gain those relationships, to make those contacts at DC or at the state level even, and to really be effective in what they're doing. I'm just going to say, in my opinion, I am not opposed to term limits, but I think 8 years is too short. If it would have been 12 years, I doubt we would
Well, I
even.
mean, there's term limits on the president of the United States.
But there's not on Congress.
Yeah. So, like, how?
Yeah.
Like, I mean, like, we're going to say it's unconstitutional in a county to put a term limit on a commissioner, but we're not. I guarantee you, being the president is hard to learn. You know what I mean? That job's not easy to learn. You know
Well,
what I mean?
I think honestly, people are shoveling over their displeasure from a federal level to the local level, because we have a certain Oregon senator that has been over there as a senator or representative or in some capacity in D.C. for over 40 years.
Yeah.
40 years.
Yeah.
And every year it's working on the same issues as he was 40 years ago. And we have not seen anything change. Them are some of the issues that I see with that. And I know that there has been commissioners in this seat for over 16, 20 years.
Back in the old, yeah.
But then the other side of the argument we get all the time is the natural term limit is the ballot box. Vote them out.
Yeah, that's true.
I don't know.
Yeah. All right.
That
Hey,
is
thank
true.
you. Appreciate it, man.
No problem. Thank you.
Yeah.
I like that. That the natural term limit is the ballot box. That's a good quote. On this day, September 23rd, 1779, John Paul Jones aboard the USS Bonhomme Richard defeats the British frigate. Is it frigate or frigate?
Frigate.
I forget. HMS Serapis, and becomes the United States' first well-known naval hero. 1806 on this day, Lewis and Clark returned to St. Louis from the Pacific Northwest. 1889. I had no idea about this. Nintendo Kopai, later the Nintendo Company, this is 1889, is founded by Fusajiro Yamuchi to produce and market the playing card game Hanafuda. That's where Nintendo got its start. 1889.
Wow, that's
Card
crazy.
game.
1930, German inventor Johann Ostermeyer receives a U.S. patent for the flash bulb, initially marketed under the brand name Vacublitz. 2018, Japan's space agency is the first to place robotic explorers on an asteroid. On this day, the #1 song in America in 1985. Oh, I love this song. Money for Nothing by Dire Straits. That's an awesome video, too. And then the quote of the day comes from Lord Chesterfield. I recommend you to take care of the minutes, for the hours will take care of themselves. One more time. I recommend you to take care of the minutes, for the hours will take care of themselves.
All right.
Yeah.
Hey, thanks, Jake.
Thanks
Appreciate
again,
you being
guys.
here.
It's been fun.
Yeah. Thanks, you guys. We'll see you Thursday.
Thursday.